You may have experienced a strange moment at work. You finish the hardest part of a project. You solve the problem nobody else could solve. You deliver results the entire department depends on. And then something strange happens. Someone else walks into the meeting, summarizes your work in 2 sentences, and suddenly they are treated as the leader. You sit there wondering, did I just do all the work for someone else's promotion? This moment is far more common than you think. And the reason has almost nothing to do with intelligence, effort, or competence. In fact, the harder you work, the more likely it is that the organization will keep you exactly where you are. Because in large institutions, the most dangerous employee to promote is the one who is too useful. If you are the person who fixes problems, answers questions, helps everyone, stays late, delivers quietly, then the system begins to classify you in a very specific category. Not leader, not strategist, but something far more valuable to the machine. A labor variable, and labor variables do not get promoted. They get used. Today we are going to dismantle the single professional mistake that traps high performers inside middle management. And more importantly, we will install a completely different professional frequency. A frequency where the organization stops seeing you as the person who does the work, and starts seeing you as the person who governs the work. Because once that shift happens, something extraordinary occurs. You are no longer competing for promotions. The institution begins reorganizing itself around you. I am Grace, the Trinity English Scholar. And today we are installing the architecture of professional command. The professional path within the Trinity architecture is not about doing more, it is about strategic displacement. The process of removing your physical effort from the narrative and replacing it with systemic oversight. The common person believes that visibility is achieved through output, but in high-status environments, visibility is actually achieved through scarcity and categorical authority. To achieve this, we must first address your acoustic footprint within the corporate environment. Most professionals allow their voices to become breathier and more apologetic when speaking to superiors, signaling through a rising terminal pitch that they are seeking validation for their presence. This is a broadcast of low-status supplication. The Trinity Scholar utilizes the phonetic anchor to ground their delivery in the diaphragm, ensuring that every word carries the resonance of the hard floor. This downward pitch signals that you are not offering a suggestion for the boss to approve, but reporting a reality that the institution must now accommodate. This works in tandem with institutional displacement. You must purge the I and the my from your project updates. You do not say I finished the report, you say the analytical phase is concluded. By removing the person and centering the process, you become the voice of the system's integrity. You must understand that the I is a target for critique, whereas the system is an objective fact that can only be audited. This depersonalization creates a status shield that protects you from the emotional volatility of office politics. Furthermore, you must master the physics of the still axis. In meetings, the labor variable nods, takes frantic notes, and leans forward to show eagerness. The sovereign remains physically anchored, maintaining an immobile neck and shoulders. This stillness creates a density of presence that suggests you are the one who will ultimately judge the utility of the ideas being presented. We also implement syntactic compression to eliminate narrative fillers like actually, basically, or I was wondering if. These are linguistic leaks that suggest you are negotiating for space. The Trinity Scholar uses the strategic pause, a full 3-second vacuum before and after a key directive, to force the room to adjust to their frequency. You are training the hierarchy to recognize that your words are high-density assets that require silence to be processed. Finally, we must master the semantic pivot of refusal. On the professional path, a no is never a personal rejection. It is a report of resource saturation. You do not say I'm too busy. You say current bandwidth is optimized for the primary objective, precluding the addition of secondary variables. This makes your refusal a matter of project integrity rather than personal unhelpfulness, making it nearly impossible for a superior to shame you into compliance. You are no longer a person with a workload, You are an infrastructure that is currently at capacity. When the infrastructure is full, the architect does not apologize. They simply report the status. This transition requires you to abandon the comfort of likability and embrace the cold efficiency of governance. In the Trinity model, we define professional success as the ability to move from being managed to being consulted. This requires a total purge of service language. You are not there to serve the project, you are there to engineer its success. Every syllable you utter must be calibrated to reinforce this position. Case Study 1. Everyday sovereignty. You are in a routine weekly sync where a colleague from another department is attempting to shift the blame for a missed deadline onto your team, using vague language to suggest that communication issues or late inputs from your side caused their project to stall, effectively trying to use you as a scapegoat in front of the middle management group. Here is how a non-Trinity scholars approach the cases. Judy. Wait, I'm so sorry, but I have to disagree because I actually sent those files over last Tuesday and I even followed up with an email to make sure you got them, so I don't really think it's fair to say we were late. I've been working really hard to make sure you had everything you needed, and it's just frustrating to hear that you're blaming us when we were trying to be so helpful. I really hope we can clear this up because I value our collaboration. Trinity Scholars approach. The attribution of the delay to this department is factually misaligned with the project timeline. The documentation confirms that all primary inputs were delivered 48 hours prior to the established deadline. We are not discussing personal frustrations, we are identifying a failure in the other department's internal processing logic. The integrity of the data remains intact. Any secondary delays are a result of external resource mismanagement. The restoration of the project timeline is dependent on the other department's technical correction, not a review of this team's delivery. Trinity analysis. In this case study, the non-Trinity scholar has effectively validated the accusation by being defensive. By apologizing and using "I think" and "it's not fair," they have framed the conflict as an emotional dispute between co-workers. Their voice likely rose in pitch, signaling to the manager that they are under pressure and therefore potentially guilty of the error. The mention of valuing collaboration sounds like a plea for mercy. The Trinity scholar, however, utilizes institutional displacement and the hard flaw. She does not use personal names or her own feelings. She defines the situation as a factual misalignment and points to the documentation as the sovereign authority. By using the 3-second strategic pause, she forces the colleague to sit in the vacuum of their own false accusation. She hits the hard flaw on resource mismanagement, signaling that she is the auditor of the project's timeline. The clinical nature of her delivery makes the colleague's attempt to blame her look unrefined and desperate, forcing the manager to look at the data rather than the drama. She effectively separates her team from the failure and places the burden of correction entirely back onto the accuser. Case Study 2. Professional sovereignty. You are in a high-stakes performance review where your superior is praising your reliability and team spirit, but is once again suggesting that a promotion is not feasible this cycle due to budget constraints, while simultaneously asking you to take on the responsibilities of a senior role that was recently vacated. Here is how a non-Trinity scholars approach the case study. I really appreciate the kind words and I'm glad you think I'm doing a good job. But I've been here for 3 years now and I really feel like I deserve that promotion because I'm already doing the work of a senior manager anyway. It's just really hard to keep being patient when I see other people moving up and I'm still in the same spot. So can we please talk about how to make the raise happen now? I just want to feel like my hard work is being recognized by the company. Trinity scholars approach. Reliability is a baseline expectation, but the current discussion concerns the market valuation of the output. The assumption of senior-level responsibilities without a corresponding realignment of the compensation structure creates a systemic imbalance. We are not discussing my patience or recognition, we are addressing the disparity between the role's architectural requirements and the current capital allocation. The restoration of the compensation-to-output ratio is the primary requirement for further project expansion. This transition to a senior scope is contingent upon the formalization of the new title and its associated market rate compensation. Trinity analysis. The non-Trinity scholar fails here by treating a business negotiation as a request for a reward for being a good person. By saying "I feel like I deserve and can we please," they have placed the manager in a paternalistic position of power. There because handles allow the manager to argue about patience and future promises. The Trinity scholar utilizes the semantic pivot and resource mapping. She removes the I and the me entirely, focusing on market valuation and systemic imbalance. This lever moves the manager's attention away from the employee and toward the logic of the system. She uses the hard floor to state that a raise is not a gift but a restoration of a ratio. By using the strategic pause, she demonstrates that she is not afraid of the no, which makes the manager realize that if the ratio isn't fixed, the output might be adjusted to match the current pay. She has effectively moved the negotiation from a plea for value to a correction of a system error, signaling that she will not assume the senior role without the senior pay. This is the governance of worth. Case Study 3. Crisis Governance. A high-value executive from another branch has bypassed your direct supervisor to demand that you drop your current high-priority tasks to help them with an emergency that is actually the result of their own poor planning, threatening to let your boss know if you aren't cooperative with their urgent request. Here is how a non-Trinity scholars approach the case study. "Oh, hi. I would love to help you with that emergency, but I'm actually in the middle of a really big project for my boss and I'm worried he'll be upset if I don't finish it. But maybe I can try to do both if I stay late tonight? I really want to be helpful and I don't want you to think I'm not being a team player, so please don't tell my boss I said no. I'll do my best to get it to you by tomorrow morning." Trinity scholars approach. The emergency in the secondary branch falls outside the current resource allocation of this department. A diversion of focus at this stage would compromise the integrity of the primary project deliverables. We are maintaining the established architectural priority to ensure the project remains within the safety baseline. If a total recalibration of my task load is required, it must be processed through the formal governance chain to ensure systemic stabilization. The threat of escalation does not alter the current resource limit, it merely highlights a breach of established protocol. Trinity analysis. The non-Trinity scholar looks like a victim of status bullying. By showing fear of their boss and offering to stay late, they have invited the executive to walk all over them. They have signaled that their time has no inherent value and that they can be easily manipulated through social shaming. The Trinity scholar utilizes atmospheric displacement and syntactic compression. She does not even acknowledge the threat of telling her boss as a personal danger, because acknowledging it would give the executive power. She defines the request as a diversion that would compromise integrity. By using the hard floor, she signals that she is protecting the company from the executive's own emergency. She makes the cooperation look like a danger to the firm's success, forcing the executive to either go through the formal governance chain, which they won't do because they are in the wrong, or drop the demand. The Trinity scholar uses the structural vacuum of silence after her final sentence to force the executive to accept the boundary or reveal their own unprofessionalism. She has turned a crisis into a demonstration of her systemic discipline. Key takeaways. The professional path is one through the total depersonalization of the work identity and the installation of the hard floor in every interaction. First, you must recognize that your reasons are your leaks. When you justify your position using the word because, you are handing your opponent the tools to dismantle your authority. Delete the justification and simply state the requirement. The institution does not care about your why, it cares about the result. Second, you must master the categorical refusal. A refusal is not an emotional choice, it is a report of zero bandwidth or a structural misalignment. When you say no, do not follow it with an apology. The silence that follows your statement is the weight that enforces the boundary. Third, you must utilize the still axis to communicate presence. Authority in a professional context is inversely proportional to physical fidgeting. If you remain still, your words carry the density of a director. Fourth, adopt institutional displacement. Remove the I and the me and speak as the voice of the project, the data, or the contract. This protects your identity while making your logic untouchable. Finally, understand that your value is not your reliability. Reliability makes you a good laborer. Governance makes you an asset. Move your frequency from helpful to strategic, and watch as the glass ceiling dissolves to accommodate your new density. You are no longer the one breathing the air of the boardroom, you are the one who determines its oxygen levels. Remember, your voice is a tool of institutional architecture. Every syllable must be anchored, ensuring that your acoustic presence occupies the space before your logic even takes hold. If you speak with weight, the hierarchy will bend to accommodate that weight. Homework. Your assignment for the next 48 hours is the professional audit of your internal and external communications. You will identify one task or request that you intend to say no to. You will write a 3-sentence refusal that contains 0 softening language, 0 I statements, and 0 because justifications. You will deliver this refusal with a downward pitch into the hard floor, and then you will count to 3 in total silence while maintaining the still axis. You must physically feel the discomfort of that silence and hold your ground within it. This discomfort is the feeling of your new status being forged. Furthermore, you will audit every email you send today for labor verbs. If you find yourself saying "I am working on" or "I am trying to," you will delete the sentence and replace it with a systemic status report like "the analytical phase is in progress," or "resource allocation is currently targeted at the primary milestone." You must achieve a state of total lexical sovereignty where every word you speak acts as a pillar for your authority rather than a plea for acceptance. Practice your phonetic anchor by speaking your refusal into a recorder and ensuring the pitch does not rise at the end. Use the hard floor protocol until the downward vector of your speech feels automatic. Finally, download the PDF for this session to review the categorical vocabulary list for corporate environments and ensure your nouns are replacing your verbs of effort. You are training your nervous system to handle the pressure of being an institutional asset rather than a helpful worker. This is the foundation of the professional path. Do not seek to be liked, seek to be the immovable point of the organization. I am Grace, the Trinity English Scholar. We do not speak to be understood. We speak to be obeyed. See you in the next frame.